Yo, what's going on everyone? Back with another Elliott Wave analysis for Bitcoin. If you guys are wanting more of these Bitcoin video updates, just another friendly reminder to make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel so that I know everyone is interested in these videos. It really does help. Everyone smashed it with the previous video, so let's do it again, and I'll continue to upload these Bitcoin video updates as much as I can. Also, make sure to turn on those notifications, as each minute that passes after the upload is very crucial, especially from an Elliott Wave perspective. Now, from our previous analysis, Bitcoin did hit that demand zone as anticipated, and we did get that bounce, 7% to be exact, and we are now at a very crucial resistance make or break zone that is going to be determining whether this diagonal is going to be going for a larger fourth subwave as indicated by this red dotted line, or continue to the upside with more buy pressure to the upside, and we could already be in the works for a fifth subwave. Ultimately, we are still looking for that fifth subwave for both of these scenarios or sub scenarios, and we're looking for higher upside before a larger corrective move to happen. Now, if we take a quick recap of what happened throughout the month of September, we did identify this diagonal quite early, and it's quite pleasing to see many of my colleagues also adopting this possibility of the diagonal idea, as it is now starting to materialize quite heavily. As you can see, we were looking for a series of threes to be created for each of the subsequent waves, and we are still working for, or already completed for, a fourth subwave, and we are still working in that possible fifth wave to the upside. As each subwave is materialized in a three-wave fashion, the higher the possibility this diagonal comes into play, even more so with the fourth subwave now looking like it's starting to be complete, or at least near complete, like I mentioned. Now, when we discuss the shorter time frames, which I will in just a moment, this is the time where we have to become a little bit more neutral and cautious, as I have said, because this is a resistance zone. Either way, if we're looking for higher levels, there are going to be more opportunities when it comes to either shorting or longing. We'll have to see whether this is going to be an impulse to the upside. But right now, with the current data given, we are in that resistance zone, and this move to the downside is now going to be either a five-wave move or a three-wave move in the same fashion that we've been looking for, this three-wave or five-wave move to the upside. So we're going to be talking about this in just a moment, but these two ideas or two subcategory ideas for this diagonal is coming into fruition quite nicely. We were looking for that resistance zone and a bounce to the upside. So that's the diagonal idea. We'll go over the shorter time frames in just a moment, but before that, let's talk about the very bullish idea, because that does have an overlap with the diagonal idea, with the pullback that we're looking for in terms of a three-wave fashion. Because if we're looking for a three-wave fashion, we can ideally also say that this primary wave 1-2 has completed as discussed in the previous video. We could see this as a flat idea for this 1-2, and this move up entirely is going to be the impulse for another nested 1-2 possibility, which is going to be working as an extension to the upside, and we want to be assuming extensions, and we don't want to be working with corrections if we're going to be looking for an impulse to the upside. So if this is the case, we're looking for a five-wave move within this internal wave 3 of the primary degree in this yellow, and we're going to be looking for higher levels, ultimately breaking all of these previous highs, even breaking the all-time high as well. So this is going to be a very bullish move to the upside, but still, this is still in the works right now. As we can see, we're still looking for a three-way pullback. We don't want to say that this 1-2 has completed in itself. So this 1-2 pullback, the way that it's going to be materializing is that we're going to be getting another C wave to the downside, back into that demand zone, ultimately coming back into the major Fibonacci support zones, as we are also reaching the Fibonacci resistance zones in the shorter time frames. So this just kind of going back and forth between the sub scenarios and also the diagonal idea with this idea. We'll have to see whether this is going to be impulsive to the upside or not. Just going to depend on the market sentiment, ladies and gentlemen, whether the geopolitical issues, the new election coming up, all of those issues are going to be tied into the story and the narrative of how we're going to be looking forward to the Elliott Wave Theory perspective. It's all going to be part of it, and we're here to make sure to take this step by step. So make sure, again, one more time, subscribe to the channel and like the video if you haven't already. Welcome for those that are new to this channel. We're going to be discussing every single move as we're going to be continuing the current narrative. Now, again, these are the two ideas that I'm currently looking at, and the bearish idea, again, just as likely is possible as well, which is going to have this invalidation at the all-time high. A wave 2 validation is going to be anywhere from here to this level here, which is about a 10% leeway. So you are kind of risking it if you are a bear, but the idea still exists because this is technically a three-way move as well. But we don't know yet, and it is looking quite bullish at this current stage. We've been talking about this bullish idea ever since we've been talking about it over here. We've been talking about this idea for a diagonal as well. So we got to continue with that narrative until things shift in the narrative. And again, we do have two soft invalidation levels, or one soft invalidation level here and one hard invalidation level here. So it's just going to be between this level and this level, which is going to be giving us the biggest determination on whether this is a bullish or a bearish continuation. So we'll have to see. Now, going into the shorter time frames, very important time frame zones is going to be the 1 hour to the 4 hour time frame. And I really did my best to try to count this internal subwave counts, but from an Elliott Wave perspective, it does look like it's a three-way move to the upside with the current data given at the current time of recording. So if that's the case, again, we're working with a larger possible diagonal idea where this is an impulse to the downside. This also does have a better fitting look as an impulse to the downside, where the fifth wave is the diagonal in itself. This is going to be our first actionary wave of a wave A. And to continue that trend and create a partner leg, we're looking for that C wave to the downside, ultimately creating that larger ABC. And then we'll go for that fifth wave to the upside. As you can see here, we're looking for another three-wave move to the upside anyways, right? Just as likely if we're going to be looking for a diagonal that is now completed for that fourth subwave. So if that's the case, again, everything working in threes. We have a WXY for wave 1 here, WXY wave for here for wave 2, WXY for wave 3, and a possible ABC here with just the current data given. It could turn into a complex correction. We'll just have to see. We don't really know until the price action plays out. But for the time being, we were looking for, with all scenarios, a move to the upside. And this resistance zone at the 61.8% is a very important resistance. That's going to be either a make or break to the upside or not. Now, what if it does move to the upside? That second sub-scenario idea I mentioned is going to be that idea where that fourth subwave is in. We have a WXY here, just as likely. Doesn't have the best look. ABC into a W. Short wave X, ABC. The C wave is going to be that diagonal in itself. And then that fourth wave is going to be complete. We have a fifth wave going up, or a five-wave move rather, into a wave A. We'll get that three-wave pullback. We'll see if we get a little bit more support within these zones here, staying above this immediate trend line, which is going to be very important because we're assuming that this fourth subwave is complete. And then we're going to be looking for a fifth wave to the upside for this diagonal, and that will be the larger primary wave 1, as I mentioned, and we're going to be looking for that wave 2 pullback, and that should retrace more or less most of the diagonal. That's usually just a tendency. We don't know. We'll see how this plays out. That right now is a little bit too early to call for, but right now we are at the ending stage of this diagonal completion, as we have discussed previously from the month of September. So if that's the case, we're going to be looking for a three-way move for this idea. Remember, so these two ideas ideally are going to be showing us to the upside no matter what. Even if we do get a pullback here, easy peasy, we're going to be looking for a pullback in this move here in a five-wave fashion, as this is going to be the partner leg. We're going to be looking for equality more or less. We could be working for a little bit more upside before we move to the downside, but it really just, we don't know. We just simply do not know. But right now with the current data given, it does look like a three-wave move is in for that. But what if this is going to be a larger bearish move to the downside? Now, first of all, before we talk about that, let's talk about whether there is another bearish alternative. We did discuss this very briefly in our previous video, where this could be an ending diagonal, where this whole move could be still completed as a diagonal to the upside if we're completing this move correctively to the upside, where we break the all-time high, but it doesn't necessarily go to radical new highs up into the $100,000 regions. We could be working correctively, and this move here is going to be the AB, and then this could be the C wave if this ultimately turns into the shorter time frames, a very bullish move to the upside. So as you can see, a lot of these confusions comes within the shorter time frames and the overlaps with the higher time frames. That's where a lot of people get confused. But with this idea, the shorter time frame is very kind of working against the idea of a larger bearish trend, because we're looking for a very strong uptrend in the shorter time frames. But in the end, the ultimate goal is that this ending diagonal is still going to be completing as a diagonal, and that is a bearish signal or a red flag. And we're going to be looking for a rejection around the all-time highs, where we do break the all-time highs, create a technical fifth wave to the top, top, and that will be the diagonal in itself, and we come back down, and that will be the entire move in itself. So I'm definitely keeping this on my eye, on the radar. We'll see how this plays out. So that's the ending diagonal, but what about the major bearish idea? I did discuss this just very briefly, but it's the idea where we have this 1-2 being complete already, where this move here is in the entirety of a leading expanding diagonal. That would be the only way I can kind of consider this to be a possible very bearish move, where this is a protected top from the bears, and this protected low is going to be eventually retested. That's very possible, but right now with the current data given, I just think that this is a lower possibility and a lower probability for that matter. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all the scenarios. Just remember, the sub scenarios for the diagonal comes down to, or boiled down to, two ideas, where we eventually work for the higher upside. We're going to be either working for the upside right now or here, and then there is the idea of the possibility of a very impulsive idea where we come down for another three-way move, ultimately creating that three-way move rather for a partner like for this wave A that's going to be kind of overlapping with this diagonal idea, as you can see here for that subwave 2 or subwave 4. Right here, and then you'll be working for higher levels, and then again we'll have to determine whether that's a 5 or 3-way move to the upside. So hopefully that was helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're not following me on social media, please do give me a follow there at XForceGlobal. If you would like to join the Discord membership, please don't hesitate to contact me, and there's also a Patreon as well. All the links are in the description below. Please feel free to hit those links. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic rest of the week and happy Monday.